Welcome back, everyone, to a new season of the Entrepreneur's Chair that I'm thrilled to be hosting on LinkedIn. Throughout this series, my goal is to provide you with authentic and intimate conversations with trailblazing entrepreneurs that are reshaping the business scene in Austin, Texas. From startup founders to seasoned business moguls, we'll dive deep into conversations about their challenges, their triumphs, and the pivotal moments that have shaped who they are as an entrepreneur. Komal Patel is a founder and CEO of Ethicarat, a luxury jewelry brand that merges sustainability, technology, and personalization. After years in the tech industry leading product, innovation, and operations for global enterprises, she followed her passion to start Ethicarat. Komal founded Ethicarat after recognizing a key pain point in the jewelry industry. Luxury often comes at the expense of sustainability and personalization. With a long career in building technology products, leading innovations, and executive leadership at large tech companies, and a zeal to expand the family business of fine jewelry, Komal set out to solve this problem. She created Ethicarat, a brand that blends technology, sustainability, and luxury by using lab-grown diamonds, recycled materials, and the power of AI through her AI-powered designer. Komal has made it possible for customers to design their own fine jewelry without compromising their values or the planet. Welcome, Komal.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth.
It's an honor to have you here, and we are so excited to learn more. So, interesting thing about Ethicarat is it merges your family legacy, so you have this deep background in fine jewelry from there, and then of course you've got this cutting-edge technology experience from working in big high-tech environments. How did this background and heritage influence your decision to, create a brand that is based on sustainability and personalization?
Firstly, Elizabeth, thank you so much for having me here. This is such a great opportunity. So I grew up in a family which was in the business of fine jewelry for over 5 generations.
Wow.
I was surrounded by artistry and legacy craftsmanship growing up. On the other hand, I spent my entire career in technology as an engineer, as a product leader, as an operations leader. And it really taught me the value of how innovation can transform industries. Mm-hmm. And to be honest, it was at that moment where Ethicarat was born out of combining these two different worlds, where I thought I could I could still honor the legacy, I could still honor the heritage, but create and serve future-proof values of personalization, of sustainability that really matters today. And technology becomes a tool to create that bridge from legacy and heritage to a future-proof world that we all care about.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
That's really nice. Every business kicks off with this aha moment. Mm-hmm. And I'm really curious if you had one of those aha moments, and then what was it like to take that and then actually take that vision and manifest it and make it a reality?
Yeah, that's a good point. I think that aha moment came when, I think it was last year when multiple things were happening in the technology field. One was this generative AI became like tip of tongue for everybody. Mm-hmm. Lot of innovation went in. In fact, Elizabeth, I don't know, probably you know this, but McKinsey reported that within next 5 years, we are going to see $100 billion market just in generative AI. So it was that investment that was going on in the industry, combine that with technologies like lab-grown diamonds and the values like recycled gold materials. these materials became a lot more accessible. I mean, 10 years ago, yes, this technology was there, but it was very limited to labs, or it was very limited to very small factories. So the accessibility became more available for the industry. And there was an aha moment somewhere in between all of these landscapes that were created around me where, hey, what if we brought luxury closer to people, where it is more accessible, they can still have personalization that they want without compromising on their values of sustainability. And that's when this Ethicarat was born.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
And so you have the inspiration, you are ready to go. How did you bring the resources to bear to actually become a real company delivering real products to the world?
That's a really good question, Elizabeth. So for resources, I look deep within my network. I think it required both creativity and resourcefulness. And the starting point was really starting with the network that I had.
Okay.
Basically, I started making a list of all the experts I know within my network, or some big connectors that I know within my network. And I just started having a conversation. Like, I need somebody best of the best in brand identity. Who's on my list who can do that? Or I have a gap in this area. I don't know how to go do the logistics and shipping. How do I go do that? Because I need to bring goods. I need to procure new suppliers. And honestly, it was the power of networking where I kind of started building my virtual team of advisors and team to kind of bring together, bouncing my ideas and strategy off of them and building off of that. And it will be a miss to say I did not lean heavily on my family because that's where I come from. I'm proud to say all the pieces I wear are actually homemade jewelry. So, of course, my family was a big part of it. They are my manufacturing and design backbone for the product as well. So, yes, between creativity and leaning on my network and family was really helped me kick off and get off the ground.
I'm always amazed with how much people will help us if we simply reach out and ask. But sometimes it's the ask that's hard, right?
It is. You're absolutely right. A lot of it is just in our mind. We're afraid to reach out. But it's funny when you just ask. People are so much more willing to help and not just help, connect you to the next person, new person. Right. And the number of new people I've met just in the last 6-9 months, it's phenomenal. And I'm still growing and I'm still making new connections. So.
That's awesome. Yeah. So let's have a little fun.
Okay.
I'm a client of yours, let's say. Okay. I go in. I am not what I would consider the most artistic person, but I really like jewelry. Can I work with your organization and create something that's unique for myself?
Elizabeth, you are a perfect customer for us. You are a perfect customer for us. Yes, all you need. I think the AI tool, and I'm really proud of what we have built, and this is just the beginning. But think about this. You come to imagine you have a tool. Imagine it's an assistant to you. It's a designer who is collaborating with you to bring out deep within whatever ideas you have. Because trust me, Elizabeth, you probably have some ideas. You know you want a jewelry. You either want a necklace, you want earrings, or you like certain stones, or you have certain interests, like you like nature. I mean, you're working in such a beautiful place here. So maybe you like nature. So using all those prompts and your likes and dislikes, designer will work with you to create and generate design and give you options to choose from. And if you don't like it, it will iterate with you, So I feel really proud of what we have built, but also the technology, the generative AI technology has become so powerful, and it's just the beginning. So Elizabeth, maybe we should, after this interview, let's try to make something interesting for you.
We are going to.
Let's do it.
And then I'm going to share it with everyone to let you know what we created. Because I'm thrilled with unique jewelry. I traveled to India quite a bit, and I'm pretty excited.
That's exciting. That's exciting.
So you have had an amazing career. You're working in high tech. You're working in corporate. And honestly, most people that work in a corporate environment and try to make the transition to startup, it is a really rocky road.
Yeah.
But you have, you went from that to the real beginning, the real entrepreneurship of starting from scratch. Yeah. What was that learning curve like for you?
Oh, for sure. Corporate world and entrepreneurship were so different and are so different. In my corporate world, as you mentioned and we talked about earlier, I led products. I'm an engineer at heart and always been that. So I built new products. I took it from 0 to 1. I was also in operations. I brought my operational excellence to lead large teams, streamline processes, and really scale products in new industries. And all of this was under the secured funding or resources that are available to you in this big industry. Cut to entrepreneurship, you are by yourself.
That's right.
and you look around and the resources are scarce and limited. So one of the big learning for me was really adapting to working with partners and experts in the industry who are not necessarily working for you, and they are not necessarily reporting to you like they do in corporate environment, but they are still very integral to your success. So collaboration, influence, aligning them to your why, and clear communication was really what was critical for me to bring my team along and bring them along to within my journey to help me reach my goals and outcomes. So I think that was one of the biggest learning and a mindset shift, if I may say that.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because you mobilize the resources, but then to put those resources into play to scale.
Yeah.
Any surprises along the way there?
There was, and I would say, I guess maybe I'll phrase it. Was it a surprise? Maybe I kind of knew it theoretically it will be challenging, but this was the first time I had to kind of put in place and kind of run with it. And it is honestly the cost, keeping the cost low. So getting the first idea out, yes, you have planned for it, but I probably, as you know, in entrepreneurship or in technology, and of course, I knew it from my corporate product development, there is no first idea never just sticks. You have to iterate, learn, experiment, and that all requires funding, and that's the experimentation has to scale.
Right.
For which the resources and the investment needed for that also needs to scale. So I think that was a surprise, or rather a known fact that I had to kind of live through it.
Oh, yes.
If that makes sense. And honestly, the way I had to handle it was hyper prioritization of what I'm going to work on. Every dollar has to count, and every dollar that's spent on initiative needs to have a measurable outcome, and it has to count. So only through prioritization I was able to limit the tension that's created in funding needed, while you also need to kind of establish your brand and still kind of scale intelligently, because without experimentation, this cannot progress. So yes, it was quite an interesting journey. It was surprise in terms of actually going through it and living through it.
Yeah, it's so funny because we have these big dreams of what it looks like.
Yeah.
But to get there, you have to make all these choices, and you have to balance that with ownership and bringing resources in and making sure that what that investment is takes us to that next level.
Correct.
Very cool. Every entrepreneur faces setbacks along the way, challenges. Or there are some things along the way that you ran up against that wall and kind of was like, wow. And then what did some of those look like? And then what did you learn from those brick wall moments, so to speak?
I think one of the biggest thing that I faced last year was back to that AI landscape. The AI landscape technology was so new, and it's still new. It's a rapid change of that landscape. There are new large language models coming to market every day. There are new iterations. There are new applications that are being developed. And within that, so many are kind of bubbling up and kind of just bursting at the same time. So kind of building something meaningful and practical for my customers while the underlying technology base is moving and shifting was one of the hardest things.
Right.
To add to this, some of the early iterations of our software was developing images which were not necessarily manufacturable or wearable from that point of view.
Okay.
So yeah, it was creating beautiful designs, but Elizabeth, for sure, you and I will not wear it. And to add to that, my manufacturing team started building more and more skepticism that, oh, come on, like my human designers, right? Like, hey, okay, this is never going to work, right? This is like a fantasy. It was a wake-up moment. Like we had to kind of go back to the drawing board to say, all right, unless we bring our outcomes, generative images and design outcomes to something that is actually practical, wearable, and practical to make it actually physically, like make it in our factories by our artists and craftsmen, this is not going to work. So we went back, we redid a lot of the architecture we had. Along the way, also went back to our human team, human designers and human craftsmen, to really align them back to why we are doing this. And the process of innovation, that innovation doesn't just happen, you turn the switch and it turns on. Like there is some learning and experimentation, but just look at the future, right? Like what is really possible? And then with some iterations, we turned this around, that we reached a magical point where the images were more practical, more wearable, beautiful. And designers started seeing this as, oh, actually, this is great because this is accelerating my design process. This is unlocking my creative boundaries. Like it is just giving them chances to kind of unlock those boundaries that they had. It's just kind of expanding the portfolio at no time. And at that point, at that magical moment, that collaboration of technology and humans started happening. And to cut short, that was a big learning, setback, learning. And I think the way I got around that in summary is really persistence, and kind of really aligning everybody to the values, but also being open to adapting to new paths that, yeah, maybe the first architecture that we came up with didn't work, it wasn't effective. We need to fine tune it, and being open to those iterations.
You know, that brings up, it's a fascinating, because I didn't even consider the aspect of to produce the quality of jewelry, you have to have true artisans. And artisans tend to want to have their own creative energy. So now you're introducing here's a concept that we want you to manifest and own it.
Yep.
But maybe the root issue comes from the buyer.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly.
And you had to just help them to say, it's okay.
It is okay. Exactly. It is okay. And it's a collaboration. And to be honest, that, yeah, the design is not perfect. So bring your human element to it and let's work it. So then now the piece, the design is truly a collaborative approach versus AI is taking over your artistic creativity. Yeah,
it's interesting because we're talking to all of CEOs about if you're not already deeply leveraging AI, in 3 years from now, it's not going to be good.
it's too late.
So it's fascinating to me that you started with this so early and have a real company benefiting from AI.
Yeah.
I mean, you saw it, and that's and especially in a different industry than what you would actually start thinking. Hey, let's just bring AI to accounting firms or legal firms, jewelry industry. I love that. That's so creative. Now, AI, AR are an integral part of what you do, and this customer experience. How do you think all of this is going to impact the jewelry industry in the years to come?
I see AI and AR and any other technology advancements in this line comes in the future. It really enables customers and users to bring luxury closer to them, make it more accessible, make it more personal. Until now, a lot of this luxury was inaccessible with either it was cost related, sustainability impact related, or just designs. And I think all of those can be, those barriers are broken by this potential that this technology holds, AI and AR. So I think that is the biggest value it's going to bring to the customer experience from my point of view. And that's what we are trying to make it core of Ethicarat, that use these tools to unlock your creativity and still no compromise on your sustainable values and your wallet. So which are all three important things.
I love your name, right?
Yeah, thank you.
Do you mind sharing how you came up with it?
Ethicarat came from carat is the diamonds, right? Like the 4 C's of the diamonds. So it's one of the C's. So that was that. And Ethi is really, honestly, like it truly, at the core of the brand, it's just doing the right thing. It's doing the ethical things, whether it is through material, whether it is doing the right things for the customers, for the partners and suppliers. And honestly, that word was kind of just, it resonates with the values. And then it was just I guess, a combination of those 2 words. That's
awesome. Well, it does speak, right? The whole ethical practice, sustainability. A lot of companies are adopting sustainability practices, not typically early in luxury brands.
Right.
So tell me a little bit how those integrate with your company.
Sustainability is such an important topic for our consumers that every luxury or a jewelry brand out there is trying to figure out how to adopt those practices within their businesses. So a lot of these companies are now trying to make their way. So, but imagine you are sitting at A and now you're trying to acquire B and trying to make your values. But Ethicarat is at the root born with those values. So it's not something that I'm adopting, or it's not an afterthought. It is something that is core and foundational value for the business. So I think it is coming. I think there is no ways for the industry. Eventually, every single brand to survive will have to adopt these values. Technology makes it such an accessible option these days that if you're not adopting, there is something, in my opinion, something wrong. So I think it's just coming. It's just coming, and I think I just feel really proud that we are at the forefront of that, and it's not an afterthought.
Yeah, it's interesting. Because you have the tech background, I remember with the startup, we had, there were companies that were the old legacy licensed software on-site premise. And then when the SaaS came, it was easy for us to start there because we didn't have the legacy to go there. And I see that, you're able to start with that foundation and then not have to worry about legacy as much. Right. But it does kind of come to a topic, which is when I think about what you're doing, where it's like two disparate industries. We have this heritage, fine jewelry. We have high tech. Yeah. It's like this intersection between tradition and modernity. What advice would you give to others that are struggling with that kind of bridge?
Yeah.
And do you have any advice you'd like to give anybody on that?
I think there are two things. One is the customer value. For any business to work, you still need to align to what customer values. And today, sustainability and personalization, whether it is jewelry, whether it is your fashion, whether it is designing your home, whatever you take it, and I'm just giving some examples, those are very important values that are going to live. So I think if you start with the customer and then work backwards towards what does it need from the product development perspective, customer flow perspective, or from the if it's a hard products like or the physical products like jewelry or computers, where I came from Dell, kind of going back to those physical pieces and like your raw materials, your suppliers, how they are kind of delivering those products to you. I think you can build that bridge step by step. Like again, but my recommendation is always to start with the values of the end customer and then using technology to bridge it back to the core foundations that you have. In Ethicarat's case, our core foundation, the legacy foundation, is our artisans, our craftsmen, the craftsmanship that we have, very unique craftsmanship we have. And quality and authenticity that we offer, that we have been offering for generations and continue to offer. So that is the core of our family values and family business. And I'm leaning on that heavily and building on top of that foundation. So I think those are like two different worlds. See what your customers need, see what your internal strengths are, and then find the technology and tools out there to kind of bridge the gap. I guess that was literally my how I came up or how I built Ethicarat.
It's fun because it's a tool.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, what does the client want?
Yes.
And then how do we leverage them? So that's so well said. At the end of each of my discussions, I love to ask two questions. One is, what authentically do you believe makes for a successful entrepreneur?
So, Elizabeth, authenticity and resilience are so integral to success of any entrepreneur, in my opinion. What that really means in my case, or in my opinion, is having a clear vision, having a true sense of values that you are driving towards, but being open to different ways that you can achieve it. As you come across challenges, adapting to those challenges and finding new ways to solve it is really what it takes. So resiliency, I will say, and authenticity kind of go hand in hand.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And how do you define success as an entrepreneur?
Success for me is really making a positive, meaningful impact. Whether that impact is for the community, for your customers, for your partners, maybe industry. Honestly, making those impact is what, in my opinion, defines success. Sure, financial success is important and it's probably even necessary to kind of make progress on all the other impacts. But it really comes down to making a meaningful and enduring impact.
That's beautiful. Love that. Love the company. We are going to schedule a time. I'm going to have some beautiful new jewelry, and then I'm going to show it off at future entrepreneur chair, and watch me on LinkedIn. First piece of jewelry we're going to announce together. So thank you so much for your time. What a delightful interview.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. I had a pleasure sharing my journey and vision with you.
Thanks, Komal.
Thank you.